Welcome, everybody. I'm Thomas Dodds, your host, founder, and CEO of slashBlue, and we help firms protect their reputation and grow revenues through technology strategy, AI advisory, cybersecurity, and managed services. Welcome to our series on AI and cybersecurity. We're going to talk today about how to use cybersecurity as a competitive advantage and even the part that AI plays in it, and give you a few tangible steps that you can use today to explore your opportunities to build trust with cybersecurity in the market. And if you stick around to the end, I'll have a special gift for you. So stick around to the end and you'll see what that is. Our special guest today is Greg, technology manager at a firm that is working in reinsurance. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, guys.
Glad to have you here. So, Greg, I want to set up the problem for people to understand how cybersecurity became so important in your industry, in your business. And we've been working together and initially supported your firm in HIPAA compliance, but then something else happened. And I want to be sensitive to confidentiality here in this conversation. So we're going to speak in some generalities about the companies that you work with, your company and roles and so forth. So that said, can you describe what was going on in your firm? How did your leadership view what was going on in the marketplace with cybersecurity?
Absolutely. We're in a decently regulated industry, and we've had some business partners that were receiving additional legislation that had been passed that they needed to extend to all of their customers and clients and partners. And so we kind of got this big requirement, and we just wanted to start getting ahead of things. We were starting to see things showing up in different requirements from things like our cyber insurance policies and different things like that. And we just realized we needed to really get ahead. And then we started having some conversations with some entities that would require a HIPAA liability and different things like that. So it really just started as the changing legal landscape and trying to be ahead of where we needed to be for those opportunities.
So it sounds like you guys already had a posture of some market awareness. What's going on in the market in regard to cybersecurity, the changing requirements of your marketplace. And so then slashBlue met with you about that. How did that process go? And what result were you looking for when we initially decided to accelerate and meet these legal requirements?
Yeah, it gets kind of scary if in our industry we had a few massive security incidents. And there's sometimes where you don't want to be that person. It kind of helped bring that a level of awareness to some of these things. We really just took that time and saw these additional requirements coming in because of the data that we possess and the data that we secure. We wanted to be representing our industry in a really great light. With these additional cybersecurity incidents happening, we didn't want to be the people that brought additional legal scrutiny to our industry. So if we took that approach, we were trying to really secure and almost be a custodian of the data in a way that would prevent additional major adjustments. And we just wanted to be ahead of it. And we had the confidence with slashBlue's track record of where we were that we would be able to continue to be ahead of those trends.
So really, there's a lot of mindset that's kind of embedded in that. You were looking for an opportunity. You were looking not only to just protect yourself. I mean, I've used the analogy of cybersecurity is like a bear. And sometimes you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the next guy. So if you're an easy target, but you're really looking at it as a way to do good for your customers, your partners, and to get ahead and build trust in the marketplace and look for those opportunities. So what did we do to solve the problem? What happened after that?
Yeah, we had already done a few things like your standard multi-factor authentication and just getting some of those base level protections in. But we were at this stage where we needed something different. We needed to elevate our game and really start taking a lot of these things seriously. And it all started with that initial assessment, just a kind of this big overview of where we were. And it was really this topic shift for us from
Mm.
doing one-off little projects to being planful and taking a look at what is considered a cybersecurity framework and trying to make decisions based on a priority on what would help improve our security, keeping some of those largest items that we identified as focus. And where it really, after that first level of identification, where it really took off and really had a huge improvement was just really our lack of documented process. We really had a lot of gaps when it came to clear and defined processes that we needed to fill. So we started there. And James Clear has a saying from his Atomic Habits book where you have to have a habit to improve a habit. I kind of like to transform that. You have to have a process to improve a
Yeah, that's
process.
great.
And so a lot of times you would just be kind of trying to swat things away and knock things down, but we establish all of those processes with something that we have that we call the written information security policy. We like to refer to it as our WISP. It set the standard of what we were shooting for and defining what we wanted to meet. And that was based off of our business uniques, our industry, what we needed with our different agreements with our partners and our vendors, and the data that we are holding.
So I know slashBlue helped you develop that information security policy, that WISP, and
Absolutely.
after assessing what's the market need and what's the customer need here. And so you don't want to spend money on cybersecurity unless you have to. If it's going to help your market, though, you want to be able to invest that wisely. So we created the WISP and then went after implementing those processes. So what was the result in reaching cybersecurity maturity? How long did that take, and what effect did it have on the business?
Yeah, this is one that kind of had some immediate and long-term results, very evident for me at least. When we were working with slashBlue, we were able to really hit that industry average and exceed it for our cybersecurity maturity in months. It was a really rapid shift for us. And then we had a clear plan of what we needed to do next. I actually had this interesting opportunity. One of our primary partners, very massive cybersecurity team, and some of their high level, C-level folks came into our office for a meeting and to review our cybersecurity and review where we were at. And we sat down, and it felt a little bit of like me talking to six people.
This was
We're
like a Fortune 100 company, wasn't it? Something that size,
uh,
or
probably in
Fortune
that range.
1000?
Yeah. It's a very large company and multiple C-suite level people here asking me questions on what we were doing, how we were doing it, to the point that these people were not allowed to fly on the same flights home.
Oh my goodness.
It was one of those that if it wasn't for this, I would have been shaking in my chair the whole time. But they really left impressed on where we were at. And that's been largely a combination of what we've been, the buy-in we've had internally and the partnership with slashBlue to bring a lot of these into fruition. It's really helped build that trust in one of our longest, greatest partnerships that we have in our business.
That's great. So you were able to, you had this massive client, and you were able to build trust with them, and they saw your security practices, and they were like, great. So it built trust with them. That's fantastic. So once you reach the cybersecurity maturity, we helped implement Chief Information Security Officer that has 20 years experience to really help you, and some software. What was important about those solutions, and how did they impact your job in the technology arena?
Yeah, that's one thing that's been really interesting. There's one of the other things that we did in the process of doing right now is kind of starting a new company. And we were able to get so many things set up with what we had done initially. And we had all of these tools and the CISO mentor available to us that I've been able to manage almost all of it with slashBlue. We haven't had to go get a whole bunch of staff. And so when this new company that we're stepping into is really probably the biggest excitement and the opportunity that we've had with our cybersecurity. We're able to be stepping into a more highly regulated tangent industry where we're walking in with people who are assessing our cybersecurity are also assessing cybersecurity policies of those Fortune 100 companies. And so we're having these barriers of entry to be able to just start a brand new company. Because of the experience I've already had with slashBlue, I've been able to really take a lot of those things, and some of it even being the SIEM and the SOC that slashBlue has provided to us, and being able to provide a lot of the logging and all of the reporting so that we have an opportunity to even work with some of these companies. These are things that I don't know how we get there as a startup without slashBlue. It's kind of this real big roadblock. If you are starting a company and you have nothing coming in, it's really hard to get a SIEM implemented and a SOC implemented and have your written information security policy and the accountability and the duties of a CISO in a small startup with only a few people. So it's the partnership with slashBlue that has really allowed us to grab that opportunity and using the tools and the staff really be able to just get this off the ground.
So I want to circle back on a couple of things you said, Greg. Really appreciate you sharing all that. So when people are looking for new opportunities, you guys, because you had this cybersecurity maturity in place, you were able to enter into a new market with a
Yeah,
new company to
yeah,
establish the credentials and meet the requirements of that industry in order to start this new company up. So it's a whole new opportunity to increase your revenue, enter new markets for you guys. Do I have that right?
completely new market with even more
Awesome.
regulation.
Awesome.
It's a tangential market, so it's something that we have understanding and belief. It's not like we're opening a zoo or anything like that, but it's really opened up to allow us to create really what it's going to do is allow a longer term viability for all of the companies that we have. And it's going to really help keep that security around the chain. As I was mentioning, that there were those big security events in the industry. Think like Change Healthcare level. If you just think of that, there's really three major clearinghouses in the health industry, health insurance space. There's SDS and there's Availity and Change Healthcare. We didn't want an event like what happened at Change Healthcare to even come close to us because they're the amount of business moving to the other two companies is astronomical. We need to be there to support our clients and our customers and our partners. And to do that, we really need to take and secure their data and hold it with the level of care that we would if that I do with my own personal data at home.
Yeah. Yes. That's fantastic. That's great. It's a great posture because you're caring for other people in the market. You're doing your responsibility. It's not merely about protecting yourself and your reputation, but it's establishing that trust with the others out in the marketplace as well. Industry level trust. Yep. So then they see it
Yeah,
and they come to you guys and they can see you're doing what's right in the industry. And that's a great way to change how people do business. And once we get into the details of it, the SIEM SOC. So for those of you that maybe don't know that are on the call, the SOC is the Security Operations Center that monitors cybersecurity events. The SIEM is the software that helps do that. And it's really important when selecting that kind of software to make sure that it's meeting the cybersecurity requirements. A lot of times, small companies will just take what somebody sells them, say, hey, this checks the box, but does it really allow you to meet the requirements of your market? In this case, we selected enterprise software for you that your customers and partners were using in Gartner's Magic Quadrant that was able to give them the confidence in that. And so it's really important to match the software that you select to the market requirements, not just take what a managed service provider gives you or some IT person got on a deal. So match it up with those agreements. So Greg, you started this new company, you got it going, you've got a lot of opportunity here. That's great. Congratulations with that. I
thanks.
just want to turn around. We've helped other people handle this as well. We've seen other results with other companies like this. One company had $4 million. You'll see in the video before this call and video after the call that we've got the case study there. They had $4 million at risk, 25% of their total revenue, with Fortune 100 security requirements coming at them. And we've done others that have state and local or federal or healthcare requirements as well. And these firms have seen a 10% to 25% growth in revenues from cybersecurity clients that have those requirements within the first year. So I encourage you each to open it up, ask questions. So I'd like to help you as our listeners to take similar steps as well. So Greg, could you maybe summarize for us what you did in your firm's leadership to recognize the opportunity? And then how would you recommend going about it? It's sometimes hard to reconstruct what happened in the past, but how would you recommend people implement a strategy to grow revenue, protect their reputation, and build trust in their industry?
Yeah, cybersecurity is one of those things you just don't want to have talked about. If it's working well, you don't hear about it.
For sure.
It's it's really hard to bring the level of scrutiny to the understanding of everybody involved. But we were able to start with some small things and kind of really grow from there. It's really opened us up to be able to respond to opportunities as they arise in a different way. So far, from the different opportunities that we've had and the additional requirements that we've had coming on us, I think I moved a pen test up a few months. I think that's
Yeah.
been really the only change that we've had in the start of this new company. I had one of my coworkers come up to me and say, Greg, I'm so sorry to do this to you. I know you're going to cry about this. I have this massive security process that we have to go through to work with one of these new vendors that we want to work with. And I will agree, it was massive, but I didn't need to cry. We had all of these things already mapped out, already planned out. And there were a few things that we didn't have, but they're not that big of a deal. We were able to respond in this questionnaire in a way that I'm proud to stand behind where it is. And I would be shocked if I was on the receiving end. I would actually question everything in the questionnaire that was asked to know a company that was started just a few months ago is at this level of maturity in their processes and procedures in the cybersecurity space. It's really allowed us to just have this opportunity to step into those relationships in confidence that we are going to be able to get them through to the finish line as these requirements seem to basically increase. With kind of where I get to play, I've had the opportunity to be in some seminars and some conferences with people who are underwriting the cybersecurity insurance space. So I'm also being able to get clued in a little bit on what is coming next. And we have consistently been at the next step right before we need to get there. It's been really great.
That's great. Well, it's just been a privilege to serve you guys. It's been a joy to see your success, and congratulations on the new company as well. That's a fantastic opportunity from this. So I'd like to encourage everyone here to ask questions that you have about this. I want to give you some practical steps here first of what we can do. See that questions popping up and what you can do over the next 12 to 18 months. So I think number one, start asking your marketplace, your key customers, how likely is it that you will have cybersecurity requirements for us just to continue to do business in the next 12 to 18 months? That's a great starter question for your key customers. You can ask it of new markets. Second, you could look into legislation or news or cybersecurity headlines in your markets that you want to enter and see what kind of barriers and see what kind of news it gets. How big a deal is cybersecurity in those markets and what's coming down? So paying attention to those trends, you'll probably see that CMMC 2.0 has been implemented as a requirement for the Department of Defense and the federal government, and that is going to be trickling down to state and local governments in the next years. You also see it in the Fortune 100, now Fortune 500, coming into the Fortune 1000, and that's trickling down to the rest of the marketplace as well. So as Greg's company did, you can get ahead of it and stay ahead of it so you don't have an interruption or friction in your sales process or your business growth from cybersecurity. And you may even have some customers now that can help you do that. So number one is identifying the opportunity. Number two is identifying and getting the set of requirements together for that written information security policy and that WISP. Get an assessment from a qualified cyber information security officer to get that assessment and understand how to put together those requirements from this customer, this piece of regulation, that one. You've got to put the intersection of all those together for your company or companies, in Greg's case, to be able to have that as a whole. And number three, then you start to invest toward a cybersecurity maturity, which is reaching that target that you want to implement, that you want to hit. Implement the processes. Certainly, like Greg said, multi-factor authentication is a great one to have, but implement all those processes so you get to that target maturity. And then you can answer questionnaires. Next, you want to equip your sales team to make sure they know what to ask ahead of the process so that you don't get log jammed in operations. We see sometimes that people will get these questionnaires once they've sold a project, and the project kind of gets delayed for 6 to 12 months, even because of cybersecurity, and then you're log jammed. So you want to equip your sales and marketing team to do that as well. And then get a really reliable partner that can augment your internal IT team or your managed service provider, sometimes called an MSSP or managed security service provider, to help you. Make sure they've got long-term experience in the market you're trying to reach. So not just protecting it for small businesses. It's not just somebody that's protected small businesses, but if you do business in the Fortune 100 space, You need someone who knows how to meet the requirements of a Fortune 100 space. So make sure you've got those requirements in and you're evaluating the business case. So now I'd like to open it up for Q&A in just a moment, but first let me get you, how do you get more help if you need it? You can visit our website, and we've got a particular promo for you, slashblue.com/webinar. You can take an easy first step with our diagnostics and schedule a no obligation phone call, video call with us. And we'll walk you through how to build that business case. What is the opportunity in your market, and understand potential markets, how your suppliers and partners might increase requirements in the coming months from what we've heard in those marketplaces. And at a minimum, you'll gain insight and important questions to ask. And so for those of you that stuck around, I want to give you two things. One is an ebook that summarizes these insights. We'll send that out to registered attendees. And second, a $100 Amazon gift card to your preferred retailer when you schedule a discovery call with the person in charge of buying these services in your company. So that's likely a C-level executive or a partner at a partnership firm at your company. So now I'd love to open it up for Q&A. What questions do you have? And we'll take it from here. So a question pops up. Should we be afraid of AI, and does it compromise cybersecurity? Absolutely. So like any tool, AI is just a tool. It is like other tools in that it can be used for good, it can be used for bad. The hackers are going to be using AI to try and get in. They're just going to be able to automate more of the attacks. They're going to be able to target people better. They're going to be able to look at, from the outside, look at your company and find the weak points. We call that the attack surface. They're going to be able to do that. So on the corollary of that, the other side, the SIEM tools that we've been talking about, the security tools, you want to have those in place that are using AI to try to combat those vectors. Just like 20 years ago when viruses were kind of going nuts and everybody had to rebuild their machines, the hackers were winning. Antivirus eventually caught up, patching caught up, and it's going to be a tug of war in the AI space as well. So make sure you're aware of what AI tools you let in to your environment. Make sure they're SOC 2 compliant. Make sure you know before you use them in your environment, you need to know what data they have access to so you don't compromise your data. Your data has to be absolutely tight before you let AI loose on it. And so do pay attention to that. It's both good and bad. AI can help cybersecurity efforts and find things that can happen and shut them down really fast, but it's also in the hands of attackers as well.
I think the coolest thing in AI and cybersecurity space is some of the things that Microsoft has recently added into their suite, where you can actually use some of their tools to trace one of these attacks throughout your entire environment. And it kind of shows how it progressed in that attack. So there's definitely some things to be afraid of. And at the same time, there's some places where it can be utilized to help defend and respond to any kind of events like that.
Yeah, that's right. We've walked through that with Greg a number of times and seeing what's coming at them. And you want to be like Greg and his company are, being proactive about it and making sure you've got the requirements in front of you and you've got the cybersecurity maturity that you need. Will give you confidence not to be afraid of AI, and it'll give you awareness as to where AI can help. And we'll go in that in our next webinar. What is the potential for AI to really help enhance sales, operational project efficiency, and make better decisions with business intelligence for your company, for your firm? So we'll get into that soon. All right. So some of those practical steps I touched on earlier. Get on a discovery call if you want with us. We'll help accelerate that. Understand your market need. Get a qualified partner to evaluate that with a real CISO that knows Fortune 100 or the market you're in, and then start to implement those steps. And question that comes up with that, what is the budget required for this kind of thing? We don't have the budget. That's a great question we run into. Once you establish the cybersecurity requirements, you're going to understand what the opportunity is in your market and the business case. And the reality is that cybersecurity is expensive. But if you're not a bank, you don't need to spend bank level money on security, but you do have to be able to consider how much cybersecurity costs in delivering your services. For example, for the DoD with CMMC 2.0, you can build in some of those expenses into the cost structure of how you do your proposals. And that we're seeing that in Fortune 100 companies as well. The companies will build in extra cost for the cybersecurity requirements. It's just a reality of how do you have to pay to play today. It's understood by the people that are doing this. So you can get your business case in order first, really understand that, and we will help you. We're happy to help you do that. Hop on a call, go to slashblue.com/webinar, grab a call, and get a $100 gift card for a discovery call with a C-level person at your company. You can also take a look around our website at other resources as well, or subscribe. Take a look at our LinkedIn page, /Blue, to talk about that. So yeah, thanks, great webinar. Thanks for sharing your experiences and knowledge. Thank you so much, Marielle. Thanks for the comments there. And thank you all for coming. I really hope it was helpful to all of you. And we'll see you on the next one, February 20th. Have a great day.
Client trust is almost impossible to replace. They trust us to keep their information secure. And we have to do that, and we take it very seriously. I don't even want to put a price on that. My name is Matt Fultz. I'm a managing partner of a consulting engineering firm, and I spend every day solving problems. Our clients care about cybersecurity because of the businesses that they're in, the size of the company, the level of liability that they can face, the number of attacks that they're under. In addition to that, we as a growing firm are exposed to liability as well. About 25% of our annual revenue is exposed to cybersecurity liability requirements. Ransomware alone could tank our business for months. It could cost us years of potential revenue. That kind of extended downtime wasn't worth risking to us. The game is always changing. We want to focus on what we're good at and serve our clients in the way we serve our clients. That's certainly not cybersecurity. We're using slashBlue for cybersecurity oversight, but also just help in understanding cybersecurity and what the risks are, educating our staff, educating our IT people, making sure that as business owners, we're aware of the potential risks and liabilities we're exposed to. We're looking for help across the board on all that. The biggest thing slashBlue has solved in terms of cybersecurity for us is peace of mind. There's too many moving parts and too much change in that industry for us to understand. Knowing that they have our backs and they're always there for us if something happens is the biggest help we need. All in all, we're having about $20 million a year protected from cyber attacks by slashBlue. And I feel confident knowing that we're meeting all the criteria across the board, that we're protecting ourselves from risk. I am getting reported updates on how we compare to the industry, how we compare to our industry specifically, what standards we're meeting within those criteria, and making sure that our score on cybersecurity is above and beyond what's necessary. The added benefit has been the education of our staff. In our instances of problems related to data access that shouldn't be allowed has been really helpful. If you have any concern at all about cybersecurity in your business, I highly encourage you to get in touch with slashBlue.